Hello, friends, family. Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, wherever you are when you come across this and join me. Um, First and foremost, as always, thank you. I really want to send the warmest gratitude to my new subscribers and to those of you who have taken the time to comment and leave a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. I'm not really one for analytics, so when I go into YouTube Studio and I see all the numbers and the graphs and everything, and I'm like, that's nice. I really don't get it, except that you guys are tuning in, and numbers are numbers, and I'm grateful for high numbers, I guess. But the comments, your response, your reaching out and engaging with me is what's most important to me. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for taking the time to comment, the time to listen. I'm so appreciative. Whew, this has been a very interesting past few weeks, days. I don't know. It's like time is just moving so fast till sometimes I find myself like, what day is it? I don't even know what day it is sometimes. And it's weird because I'm not doing a whole lot. But yet and still I feel like there's a whole lot going on within me and in the world around me. And it's draining. It's very draining. But I think what is really creating havoc within my soul is the fact that I haven't been able to connect with my creative side, which is like the bread and butter of my life. Like I write, I'm an author, and aside from sharing like this, I love to write. I'm working on my autobiography. I've already published a small book, and I was writing for medium.com since 2018. But it just got too weird. Anyway, I'm no longer writing for Medium, but just sitting and being able to craft stories based off of my experiences was so fulfilling and so just amazing for me. And I have not written in a while, and I can feel, like my creativity calling me, and I can't answer the call. So that's really weighing heavily on me. But I've received an idea. I want to share it with you now. It's two things before I share the experience I want to talk about. But oh yeah, welcome to Authenticity the Hard Way. If you're new to the YouTube channel, welcome. Authenticity the Hard Way is about life experiences that help evolve us into the next highest version of ourselves. And yeah, the experiences, it's our experiences. But before I get into that, two things. I received idea the other morning to take all of the stories that I have written on medium.com and compile them into a book, which is very exciting. I started writing for Medium in 2018. And when I decided to stop publishing on Medium, I had to pull all my stories down and save them. And man, as I was, pulling them down, I was able to go back in my mind, much like the podcast. That's another thing. I was able to go back and quickly remember where I was when I wrote each one of those pieces. And wow, the growth that I have experienced through those the growth that I have experienced through those experiences is profound. The friendships that I built through Medium, the divine was just sending people to me at certain points in my life, in my writing, who just came along and just uplifted me and supported me in ways that I never thought would be possible. So during my communion time a few days ago, it just downloaded into me just to take all of those pieces and put them together. Now, the amazing thing about that is that in I want to say 2006, around that time period, I was going through a horrible time. My husband had abandoned us. He had left me, ran off with a young lady. That's another story, another experience to share later on. And that is that during that time period is when my relationship with God and my, I guess you could say, my introduction to the celestial realm just morphed. Like in my desperation and in the depth of all of the pain that I was experiencing at that time, and the loss of identity that I had. My husband left because I was totally, I was just, he was my world, he was my everything. And he just left, and that left me with this gaping hole of, I had nothing. And God spoke to me one morning, and he said that I was going to write a book, and that book would be entitled A Chosen Journey, from Wilderness Wanderings to Promised Land Victories. And at that moment when he spoke that to me, I was like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. Because I couldn't grasp it, because I was in the wilderness. When you are in the throes of turmoil and pain, your whole world has shattered and collapsed all around you. You cannot see past that. Even in my most strongest point in all of that weakness, and my strongest point in that weakness, I still could not see beyond the devastation and destruction in my life at that moment. So when God spoke that to me, he literally just planted the seed. And as time went on and I began to heal, I began to heal myself. I began to learn about shadow work. That was like my nosedive into self, my spiritual journey. That was the catalyst. My husband leaving like he did. So all through those years, that seed was just growing. Like the seed for that book was just growing, and I never could. I tried so many times to start it, and bouncing from here to here, living place to place. I never could really consistently write. So I left it alone, and so long story short, here now, my autobiography that I'm writing is about my life, is attached to that. It's a fictional biography. I'm telling my story in story as a story, but the pieces that I'm joining together, how do I want to say it? It's just going to be like from wilderness wanderings, from wandering around in the darkness and the confusion and everything, to my last story, which was me having an encounter, which I just wrote it. The last story I wrote was like 5 or 6 months ago, right before I decided to leave Medium.com. So my last story was of me encountering my future self after the destruction of old paradigms, core beliefs. That it's like I really went through a major warfare that got me here doing the YouTube channel. But it was me encountering my future self. And I'm excited. Like, I'm really excited to do it. And I'm proud of myself for getting here to be able to do that. So I will keep you guys informed of how it's going and when it will be released. I will be publishing it on Amazon, through Amazon Publishing. So very excited about that. Second thing is that Authenticity the Hard Way podcast is now on YouTube. I finally allowed to upload it. So, and that's 2 years of stuff. So please bear with me. I think I have one up, the intro cast. Please bear with me as I'm able to upload all of the episodes. It's 2 seasons, and what is very heartfelt for me is the journey, right? When I started the podcast, well, I've talked about it, but I was homeless, right? Well, not homeless. Me and my son were living in a motel. And I had just left my husband. We reunited. Anyway, just made my way back to California. I had gone through a shelter program because we were homeless, literally. And got a job, place to stay. And then that place to stay was not the right place to stay. So me and my son decided to move into Motel 6. I think I told you guys this before. And it was in Motel 6 that the divine gave me the spark, the inspiration to do the podcast. So the woman that I was then, being able to go back through the podcast and see that woman then to where I am now, from her, I did the episode, the video from her to here, is tremendous. And I'm very proud of myself for living. Having been severely depressed, suicidal, an alcoholic, drug user, sexual abuse, physical abuse, spiritual abuse, all these things, abandonment, all these things that I have experienced. And had the wherewithal to not crumble underneath each experience. To be able now to be sitting here communicating with you and having my experiences in a form where I can go back and listen to that woman talking on that podcast to this woman here is amazing. Amazing's not the word. I don't know what it's profound. Because of how much I have changed, how much I have grown, how much hard, dedicated, focused, resilient work that I put in to myself to come up out of the darkness that I was in to this space right here. I am so grateful to me for doing that. So, yeah, I could go on. But, so the podcast is on YouTube channel. There's one thing that I would really appreciate before I forget. I'm kind of stuck. I'm stuck. Because I want your input as to, because I don't want to have future episodes of the podcast the same as what I'm speaking about on the YouTube channel. Because before I integrated the podcast into the YouTube channel, I was just doing the video, but then also recording for the podcast so that it would be on the podcast and also in video. But I don't want to have I don't want to have both on the YouTube channel. So what I'm contemplating is to change the podcast into some different information, or just keep it the same as what's on the YouTube channel. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So I really want your guys' input on, should I dive into different content on the podcast and have the YouTube channel have separate, different information too? I hope that makes sense. That ain't make sense in my head. please help me. Please help me. I don't know, but I really would like your input, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that I could speak about. I think in one of my previous videos, I feel like God is expanding me, and He's giving me more messages to share, and maybe that's the way the podcast could go, just receiving revelation and sharing it with you guys on the podcast, and keeping the YouTube channel more focused on experience, or just kind of flow with whatever comes, whatever, I don't know. Please talk to me, help me out. So what I want to talk about, share with you guys, is a experience that I had when I was a little girl, and it has been resurfacing a lot within the last 3 or 4 days. Because I'm really at a place spiritually and emotionally where it's like I'm going through a cleansing. A lot of old patterns, behaviors, beliefs, and thought processes are falling away. And I literally feel this, like going throughout my day, like I could have a thought about something, but then immediately that thought could trigger, it feels old. And my response feels like rehearsed. So, but I'm conscious enough, I'm aware enough to be able to say, okay, no, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm not even engaging that. And like my responses to certain things, I can tell when it's a rehearsed, it's a pattern. That's how much I have slowed down mentally, and have gotten myself to the point where I am totally present. That's hard work, y'all. Because I'm slowing down, but life around me absolutely is not. And I feel like so much is coming, like I'm being bombarded, especially when I'm out driving around different cities. I feel like I'm bombarded with stuff, like thoughts hit me, and I know they're not my thoughts, and it's like, okay, no, okay. Literally, when I come in after being out for 5-6 hours, driving through city, I literally come home and I'm exhausted, and I just feel like cringe because it's so much. Whew, I feel it now. So much filtering in, and then with I don't know if you guys keep up with the all of the activity that's going on in the planet, and all the activity that's going on with the sun. Like we're having major flares filtering through there. Anyway, it was a lot. And I feel it. I feel, at certain times, it's like my cells. I can feel the cells in my body vibrating. That's what it feels like underneath my skin. And just different, I'm a mess. So it feels like constant stuff coming at me, but on the inside here and through my chakra system, like I'm really, it's really a focused thing to be able to stay grounded and centered and aware of where I am and what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. So I know that I can feel that there's a lot that is just dropping off of me. Just a cleansing and a clearing, because it's time. But as that is happening, memories of old experiences are surfacing. And this one in particular has been, like I said, it's been coming back quite often. And actually, I had no intention of sitting this morning and doing a video, except that when I sat down to do my journaling and have my coffee, it surfaced again. And I'm sitting with it and I'm thinking, okay, what is the point of this? And it just came to me to share it because it's the foundation. It's the foundational experience that has got me here to you guys right now. So, and when I was a little girl, my aunt, my mother's sister, lives in New York, in Manhattan. And as a little girl, she would always send for me during the summer. My aunt, she's the only living relative that I have on my mother's side of the family. Once she passes, I will be the only. It's amazing to say. Once my aunt passes, and she's getting very ill and sliding into dementia quickly. But once she's gone, I'm the only living, or I'm it. My mother's gone, my grandmother's gone, my uncle's gone. Then she passes. That's all I have of my mother's side of the family. But she is more of a mother to me than my mother was. And she knew as a little girl that things were horrible for me. My mother was an alcoholic, and my aunt knew it. My father, alcoholic, drug user, very abusive. She knew that. So she would always send for me during the summers to give me some time away. And her biggest regret all throughout my life is that she didn't keep me. Even now, at 53 years old, she still calls me her little niece. It's funny because when I went to go see her in my mid-30s, I went to go visit her. And we went out to lunch. She's going to take me to see some of her friends. And when we got to the restaurant, all her friends were at the table, and I walked in behind her. When I stepped to the side for her to introduce me, they were all like, and I was like, what's wrong? And one of the ladies says, you're Janet's niece? She's always said my little niece, my little niece. So we all thought that you were maybe a little girl or a young teenager. It was so funny. Like, no, I'm that little niece, but I'm far from the little girl. But anyway, so I would go spend summers with her. And this particular summer, I think maybe I was so little, so maybe about 5 years old. We went to dinner with my aunt and her two friends, Fred and Sylvia. I loved them. Oh my God, they would just sit. My aunt is a socialite, like she's sedity. I mean, upper class Broadway plays, champagne brunches, Saks Fifth Avenue, that up there in the financial bracket, in the, you know, and me, little Barstow, down here. But Fred and Sylvia were very loving to me. And they had a daughter. She was deaf. And so it was like they really cradled me. They really did. So anyway, we went to dinner with Fred and Sylvia. And we had the candles. They had the table with candles all around it. And the atmosphere of the restaurant was ambient. It was like a nice, mellow, candlelit restaurant with soft music playing, and it was amazing for me to be in. But I remember I was so little, like the table came here, and Fred and Sylvia were here, and my aunt was here, and I'm just in my little space, just watching the candlelight on everybody's table, how the candles were swaying and some were dancing, but I could feel spirits around me, and it was a loving environment, and I just sit there listening to them talk, but I was all off in my little world, listening to the atmosphere, I guess you could say. So we're having dinner, and after dinner, I got my favorite dessert, chocolate mousse. Oh my God, I love chocolate mousse as a little girl. And when the waitress brought it and set it down, it was just so big to me, and I was so happy to have it. And my aunt and her friends were laughing at me because it was like just joy. So anyway, I couldn't finish it. It was huge. I couldn't finish it. So they put it in a to-go container. And we're walking back to my aunt's apartment. And I was walking ahead of them, and it was dark. There were, street lamps sporadic all over. And I remember so vividly, I was just walking and enjoying myself in my little space. And I looked up and over to my left, up against the wall, a building, was a homeless man. I didn't know what homeless was. I was a little girl, 5 years old. No, I had no idea that people were homeless. But he caught my eye, and I was not afraid. I had no fear at all. And as we're walking, the closer we got to him, I could feel tension from behind me. And my aunt was saying, Asha, get over here. Get over here. And I'm just walking. And we got about 20 feet away from the man. Maybe it was a little bit more, because I started to speed up a little bit because I really wanted to see what he looked like. And in the back, my aunt's going, Asha, get over here. Get over here. And Fred says, hold on, Janet. Just hold on. She's all right. Let's see what she's going to do. And I felt the release of the tension behind me. So I walked over to the man. I had no fear, no reservation. He was dirty. He was filthy. And he was sitting with his head down. And y'all, I just walked right up to him, and I just stood there. And he looked up, and he made eye contact with me. His face was dirty, his hair was grimy. But he made eye contact with me, And that was the first time that I had ever seen eyes that green. They look like, now I'm older, right? And I go back, they look like emeralds. It's just this beautiful, deep, sparkling green eyes. And our eyes locked, and I felt him. I remember feeling so hurt. As we stared at each other, I remember feeling so much pain and hurt. But yet, so much love. It was amazing. And I wanted to help him. I wanted him not to feel that hurt and that pain. So I gave him my chocolate mousse. I just lifted up my hand and I handed him the bag. And he looked at me and he took it. And he smiled. By this time, my aunt and my aunt and her friends were behind me by then. I didn't want to move. I wanted to stay there. I wanted to sit with him. I just wanted to sit and, just wanted to sit with him. But I felt the tension again behind me, so he looked over at them, and I could feel, I didn't know what shame was. But thinking back, that's what it was. It was a look of shame on his face, and he dropped his head. But before he dropped his head, he looked over at me. And then he dropped his head. And I just walked off, and I knew it was just time to go. My aunt never addressed it. We never spoke about it. No one ever spoke with me about it. But I carried that moment with me. I carried his eyes with me for such a long time. It was like he was with me for a very long time. But that moment right there shaped me, because from that moment on, all I've wanted to do was help people. Growing up, I was always an isolated child, very timid, very introvert. But when it came, and being in groups of people terrified me because I could feel all the energy. But as I look back over my life from that moment forward, I was always looking and trying to help people. In high school, I had a friend. She got pregnant. She didn't want to tell her mom. When her mom finally found out, she called me. She was like, "Can you come help me talk to my mom?" She found out, and I walked over there, walked into the house like a grown woman, and sat down with them and counseled both of them. I was a junior in high school. I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't know what I was doing. It was just in me. Flash forward, and I'm ministering and prophesying and healing people in churches and writing my stories and in and out of shelters and ministering and counseling women and all these different things to here and now. I am very much still that little girl. And my heart's desire, right? I just want to share chocolate mousse. I just want to give everybody chocolate mousse. That's it. Like, I'm still that little girl. It doesn't matter how grimy, how dirty, how shameful anyone feels. I just want to help. I just want to give. If I had unlimited supply of chocolate mousse, I would walk around and I would give it to whoever needed it. And that's what I'm doing here. And I wanted to share now. So when I started, I didn't know where. That's why the memory. That's why that experience has been surfacing. Because this is who I am. And I experienced my way, beginning with that experience to this experience now. One last thing. I think it was late 90s, early 2000s. A dear friend of mine and I were praying in her living room. I love her. She is such an integral part of my life. Her name is Sherry. And Sherry is very sick at that point. Just very sick. She's diabetes, the worst kind. And I didn't know. I love her so much, but then I didn't know, and I was going through turmoil in my family, and she was going through her sickness, and we just found ourselves in her living room, sitting on the floor, praying, asking God to come down and just do something, and the spirit was so heavy. And at the same time, she and I had the same vision. We both had a vision of me standing in front of a sea of people and me speaking. Helping, healing, speaking, preaching, whatever, to all these people. We had it at the same time. And I honestly believe that this, right now, is the fulfillment of that vision, the beginning of it. Because here I am, speaking. Of course, times have changed, but this is that stemmed from chocolate mousse. Yeah, here I am, fulfilling my calling. Whatever, wherever you are in your life, if you go back through your history, I believe that you can find one moment in all of your history where you tapped into your true self. Because that's what I did as a little girl. I tapped into my true self in that moment. If you are going through a phase right now, or if your life is just so heavy and so uncertain, and you're lost in living, take some time to go back through your history. And I really want to say that I can guarantee that you can find a moment or an experience where you were able to tap into your core, your true identity. And that's where you need to focus. That's where you need to excavate down to in your soul and tap into that you. Age doesn't really matter. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. I was 5 years old. And that has carried me to here, where I am now living that truth. It's in you. Does not matter how much hell or high water you have had to go through. Your true essence is in there. You just have to dig deep and find it. You can do it. And it'll be scary. It may even be painful. It may even be exhausting. But it's worth it. Becoming that version of you, which is actually the higher version of you, is absolutely worth it. And I'm here. I'm here. If you reach out, yeah. Comment. Let me know where you are. Comment on this video. Share it. If it resonates with you, share it. If it spoke it to you and you're like, I don't even understand, I don't know how to, leave a comment. Or even if you want that, gosh, that don't even make sense, leave it. Comment. Let me know how you feel. Let's have a conversation. And then I give you chocolate mousse. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you. Yeah, chocolate mousse. I love it. Once again, subscribe, like, comment, share, and come back.